Live from Lollapalooza here on 93XRT and 93XRT.com. I'm Marty Leonards, joined by the fellas from Bastille. We've got Dan and Kyle and Will. Congratulations on everything and welcome to Lollapalooza.
Thanks for having us.
Such a nice introduction.
It was such a. We just want to give a shout out to our fallen homie Woody, who's hurt his back, so he can't be doing interviews today. But he's the fourth member of our band.
He's slowly getting put back together, so he can hopefully play later on.
What happened to him?
He strained his back playing the drums.
Yeah,
You'd
classic.
think, having played the drums for quite a few years, that you'd have figured out how to do it without hurting yourself, but apparently not.
Sometimes you can just turn the wrong way.
Yeah.
You can bend down to pick up a piece of paper,
Snap.
anything. Bam, there you go. Rest, ice it, get ready for tonight. And you have a big show here at Lollapalooza coming up later on this afternoon, which is exciting.
We're really excited. It was so exciting to be here. I've wanted to just come to this festival as a fan for years. So, it's awesome. It's awesome to have this opportunity.
Yeah. I just have to say to you guys that your song Good Grief, it is such an earworm, and it has been stuck in my head for like the few weeks that I've heard it, been playing it on the radio. I can't get it out of my head, and that's actually a good thing, but thanks. Hey, thanks for that.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's really a fun song, but when you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's a bit darker than the way that it sounds.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing
the point,
that we do.
Yeah.
I think it's always I don't know, it's nice to write about topics that are just things that interest us or topics that are maybe less well trodden in the context of making music, so that I don't know, to sort of like mess with that tension between euphoria and despair.
Yeah.
And I'm some people don't notice with the lyrics, and they're just like, oh, that's a nice song. Other people are like, that's the most depressing thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it's that weird sort of dichotomy where you're dancing and you're having fun, and then one day it just hits you, and it makes the song that much more rich, which is really great.
What's a better way to dance than with tears squirting out your eyes?
There you go. Yeah. Well, you guys have had such an incredible last few years since Bad Blood came out. Actually, since before Bad Blood, with the release of all the singles. I mean, the singles preceded the album, so that it seems like that first album was almost a collection of singles in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it was, in the UK it was so weird. We released 9 singles from that album.
Yeah, we really squeezed that out.
9 singles.
I mean, in the UK and in like European countries, like people fly through singles in every few months.
Sure.
So there's the kind of opportunity to do that. But it was it was hugely flattering. Like this was just music that we made ourselves and made with our friend in a tiny little windowless basement in South London. And so it's the last few years have been so surreal and unexpected, and getting to come to the States and release music here and tour. It's been so we just feel very lucky and humbled to be even here.
Right, and now we're on the eve of your second album.
Yes.
Wild World, which comes out in September. Now, did you approach that as an album?
We sort of approached it as let's just not stop making music and let's experiment, and let's as the live show developed and grew and changed, we introduced guitar that we didn't really have on the first album. So there's a bunch of guitar music on this record as well that kind of very much came from the live thing. And but also, our interest in kind of electronic music and sort of like modern R&B music and hip hop and all that kind of stuff. All those sort of influences and sort of itches that we wanted to scratch kind of sort of came in, and making it on the road meant that we just amassed a whole load of stuff. And then at the beginning of this year, sort of went back to the studio where we made our first album and kind of and refined everything and turned it into the record that it is. But we want the album to be like a bit of a mixtape, so and to be quite disorientating, so you don't really know what's going to come next. So there were kind of like no rules, which was wicked. It just meant that we sort of have very much chosen to not define ourselves as one thing and don't really believe in kind of genre or anything. And I think no one really does these days. You listen to alternative radio and it's kind of, it can be anything from like Lord to like heavy rock and I don't know. So I think it's quite. It was quite sort of liberating to realise that let's just do what we find fun and interesting and hope that other people like it.
We're talking to Bastille live from Lollapalooza here on XRT. Now, the records and the songs sound great on the radio, but your real strength is live. You guys are an incredible live band. You really Yeah, bring it. Like it's incredible. How great it sounds.
Well, it's been thank you. That's really kind. And it's been I guess kind of starting on a very small scale. We've been lucky enough to sort of. It's been sort of like quite a slow and steady curve, but I guess we've kind of gone up through venues and I like everybody does, sort of learn on the job a bit and figure out what we're comfortable with and as things have grown and progressed, like try to get better. But
I guess as well, because so that the first album was kind of, it was very much kind of studio album, and then we took it to live, and so we had to kind of just, I don't know, just like, right, there's a song that's already completely finished, let's see how we can sort of transfer it to live. And so we're, I don't know, given a kind of creative space, to bring it to the live. This album's slightly different. Some of the songs have been influenced by live. Some have been studio based, but others have been kind of hand in hand. And so I guess we've always looked at the album and the live as two different beasts, and although trying to remain somewhat in the same vicinity as what the song we're doing, but also just give it a bit of a kick, I guess.
We're also so lucky with our crowds. Like, we're very, very lucky to have the fan base that we do, and the people that come to our shows. I guess we sort of, I mean, maybe speaking a bit more for myself, I go a bit nuts on stage, and I think that kind of, and I often fall over or electrocute myself or fall off the stage, and it's very embarrassing. But I guess you sort of go into that headspace where, I don't know, but it means that often our crowds they're wicked. Like, everyone's sort of jumping up and down and kind of going a bit nuts, and that really helps. And I think that's the thing that's really made it easy for us to kind of develop as a live band, is just getting to play to the crowds who just slightly lose their mind. It's brilliant.
Yeah, well, it's pretty incredible to see when you played on The Tonight Show just a few nights ago on the Jimmy Fallon show, and you only get one song, right? And you rehearse that hours and hours and hours before, and then, okay, fellas, it's time. But that was really, really a great performance. It was the first time I had seen Good Grief performed live, and it was. I
was so
nervous,
really something,
dude. Yeah.
Dude, I think I fully blacked out for the entire. It finished, and suddenly Jimmy Fallon was up shaking all our hands, and I was like, "Whoa, what happened?" I felt like I've been teleported there, but no, it's now's an exciting time for us to get to play these new songs for the first time. We just put out another song from the album. Just to show another side of it last night, called Fake It, and we played it. We're playing it today for the second time ever, and it's quite, for us, it's just so really exciting times for us.
Well, one more thing I'd like to talk to you about before I let you go, and that is you are the first band to perform in the British Museum.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. That's probably the only thing my dad's proud of that we've done.
And it was during it was
somehow I tricked you into going through to a museum. I like museums. I love museums.
But you performed Pompeii at a Pompeii exhibit.
I know, it was so surreal, man. And we also, we very much were like, because places like that, they're not necessarily places of noise and music, and you feel like it's a bit like a library. You want to be respectful. So we were like, we're really inflicting this on people, aren't we?
It was weird as well, because it's meant to be quiet, and then when you go and make noise, the reverb of the place, because it's just it was. The sound was massive, and it wasn't mic'd up or anything. It was just like wow. It was so weird.
It was really lovely, and it was just one of those mad coincidences that this exhibition on Pompeii and Herculaneum that the British Museum have been working on for years came out at the same time as our single, and they just approached us and were like, should we just? I mean, it's awkward, but should we just do something with this? So we went down and did it. Wow. And
I think we'd kind of joked before we'd seen that there was an exhibition, and we sort of laughed about it, and then they actually called us, and we were like, oh wow, this is actually real. So yeah, it is amazing.
There's so much history in that place that I can't even imagine what it
and
would be like playing there.
And in the reading room, this beautiful, like Carl was saying, the acoustics were just incredible. You open your mouth and start singing, and normally just expect this ugly husk of a voice to come out, and then suddenly it's reverberating around this beautiful room. You're like, it was a pleasure to play there.
Well, you guys have to be on stage really soon, so I'd like to like to thank you for stopping by, and all the best with the album, which comes out September 9th. And we love playing Good Grief, and it sounds great on the radio. So thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.